Get his last name? Last week, we had somebody from Dee Dee Barrett's office, her chief of staff. He seemed to think that the most likely thing, horror show in my mind, that we might have to deal with in the town of Clinton would be the National Grid Central Hudson proposal, which is for the eastern side of the town of Clinton, and I stupidly left my map in the back of my car to go get it. But right now, there are 2 high voltage lines in the town of Clinton currently. I could be wrong, I believe they're both 115 kilovolt. The National Grid Central Hudson proposal is to triple the voltage of the high voltage corridor on the eastern side of town.
The old one, like the one
The one right here?
National Grid Central Hudson, to my mind, is not talking about a new corridor, depending on the height and or the width. There's lots of people who are justifiably and understandably concerned that they being taken their properties and not being reimbursing filling. I'm not going to lie to you. Not everybody, this is like the 4th one of these. Not everybody who's been coming to these meetings is 100%. We have to stop the line. That's okay. I am. Okay, I am. What I've learned in political activism for the last 20 years, last 10 years as a county legislator, serving you folks, if there's a really strong movement, hardcore, based on facts, that they're a viable alternative, health impacts, economic impacts, and then we link up with Milan and Pleasant Valley and other places up and down the Hudson Valley, then I think we can stop this. Now, if some people in this room don't want to sign on to this petition, that's fine. I think our organization, our network, whatever, Stop the Lines Clinton, whatever we're going to call ourselves, can perform an incredibly valuable service just by getting information out. And so I'm going to try to shut up on that. Just one last handout. I would like Alyssa Kogan, she's the chair of the Health Impacts Task Force for Stop the Lines Clinton, or whatever we're going to call ourselves. Statement of question.
Martin Messina, I live on Rhinebeck Road. The reason why I'm here is the back of my property does border up against the power lines. And I'm just concerned about what's going on and, you know, what we can do to stop it.
Skip back is CEO of Omega Institute. Power lines run up the back of our property.
Kevin Warren, I live there in Maple Lane. Been here 56 years, and the current lines are 180 feet from my house. Where these guys are? I'm on the east side.
Ted Pell, Long Pond Road, and I want to make sure that these lines get buried underground as they do with new lines in Europe, as they do with new lines in California, as they do with new lines in Connecticut. I don't want to be left behind in the Stone Age.
I don't want to see any power lines come through Clinton. Nothing. That's it. I don't care, underground, over the top, what are we going to do? We don't want it here. And we have to be united. If you live over by Fiddler's Bridge, hey, if you try and go over here, you've got to support us, and we're going to support you over there too. I live right, my power lines are right in back. So there's a big gas pipeline there too.
Situations where, I mean, this town has no industry at all. Its tax base is completely paid by estates and the open land and our views. I mean, basically, I just think that this will totally destroy our tax base. If you've got a high line they're talking about going, what, 160 feet possibly? And we found out last week that they have to put lights on them now because of the height. That's what, right, you were saying?
On the hilltops.
Right? Yeah, on the hill, they got to put lights.
Put them on hilltops.
Yeah.
Well, can you imagine that's gonna look like, they double, it's gonna look like an airport? I mean, do you think a millionaire is gonna buy a 100-acre piece of land for any value at all? If that's, I mean, they're just gonna go to the next town.
Yeah.
So basically, what will happen is, we're at 100% value. So when I own a piece of land that was destroyed, I mean, it's gonna destroy me too, because I can't sell my land, but then I'm gonna come into town and say, well, my land's not worth this money, you have to lower my assessment. I believe if this town lost 30% of their tax base, we'd be destroyed. I mean,
Same thing. I'm on 99 Partners. I'm on the east side of the lines. I joined the power lines 300 feet away at the moment. They come 160. That's it for us, basically. And I did get the letter from National Grid. I called their hotline to talk to somebody, and its an answering machine hasn't called me back in 5 days.
Also, John Resurgent of Central Hudson, he's talked about different proposals. There's a proposal for long distance, long range, underground, DC direct current cable along the New York State Thruway. Now, they say there's a bottleneck. Oh, there's a bottleneck from Pleasant Valley running up for about 50 or 100 miles. So we just have to do something. However, I get the impression that not too many Democrats in this town, I get the impression that not too many Republicans in this town want this, that nobody really wants it.
My name is Sharon Kotler. This is my husband, Ted Kotler. We just moved to Clinton 3 months ago. We live on Sunset Trail, which parallels, for those of you who don't know, Center Road. And there are power lines that are running between Sunset Trail and Center Road. Our neighbors across the street, property back up to the power lines. Thanks to Alyssa, we got a flyer. That's the only way we've known about this. So we're here. And I do want to say one thing. Most of our neighbors on our road are weekenders. And we got your flyer on Friday, and I talked to some of the neighbors over the weekend, and they're all back in New York tonight. But their first reaction was that they're going to sell their property.
Where an electric company decides that they need greater capacity, and they come to the state, and they express that need, and the Public Service Commission basically litigates a specific proposal. And what we have here is a little bit of interplay between the federal and state government, and effectively the federal government wanted to see a rate increase in this region to bring rates in line with capacity, and Governor Cuomo felt that there might be a better way to go about that. And so he launched this more comprehensive energy highway program. The problem, and this is not unique for Governor's branch proposals in recent years, is that there was not a great deal of communication about that proposal with the state at large and with individual communities that would be affected. And so instead of having a scenario where companies, one company responds to a market need and the Public Service Commission evaluates it, we have a scenario where the state put out a request for proposals, and they've received many, many, many proposals. Some of them involve the town of Clinton, and many of them do not. But because the process is different than it usually is, the Public Service Commission doesn't have a procedure to follow. They don't have a system in place for how to get from point A to point B in evaluating these proposals. That puts us in a unique position because we're not sure yet exactly where to enter the process. And if we expend those bullets too soon, that makes us less helpful. So we're still in a fact-finding mode in order to find out how best we can help you guys. But we have many, many questions, from the impact on property taxes and property values to health, to whether there's going to be any benefit to residents of the town of Clinton or Pleasant Valley or Long Island, as the case may be, with respect to energy savings. There is at this time no reason to believe that there would be. So we come in with a pretty skeptical eye, and we're relying on you to be our voices on the ground, to help us to know what you're hearing and to get your thoughts. And we will attempt as best as possible to be your voice from Albany as we're able to get more information and as we're able to apply pressure on the PSC if and when they develop a process, one that we can, ascertain whether it's the right process.
The story so far, as far as I'm aware, is that there are 2 high voltage corridors right now through the town, right? I believe there are 2 115,000 volt corridors. There's one that runs, I believe, like this, and there's another one that runs like this. And I believe that the National Grid Central Hudson proposal is to use this as much as possible, maybe taller and or wider. However, Central Hudson National Grid is not the only proposal. There's a Next Era Energy proposal. There's a Blossom Wars Sue Rivard. There are 3 or 4 proposals.
Yeah, at some point in May, one of these proposals will be accepted and then Part B will move on. The problem is we need to be organized and ready for them, and although we do need to join with other towns, it's more important that we advocate for town of Clinton as well, because each town is going to be advocating for themselves individually, so we do need to join in. What some of you don't know is Central Hudson Fortis was here, and they also told us to expect anywhere from a 9 to 20% rate hike for 2014. and that rate hike will stay until these lines go up. So it's sort of like electrical blackmail, I would say, you know. So that's something. And these towers that they're talking about, Joel, a lot of you are new, there are, the ones they're proposing are the cheapest ones. This is what is the cheapest way to do it, and that's usually the way it ends up. They're 120 feet high.
That's going to go down Main Street, so to speak?
It will go down Center Road, yes. They are incredibly high. They're twice as high as the tallest ones in town already. If they are placed on a hill, they will need a light on top to keep the planes from hitting them. They make a noise, they hum. Apparently they can blow at night.
Those power lines, correct me if I'm wrong, were put in 1928. We haven't come off square one with transmitting electric power since 1928. What the hell are we doing? Now we want to put a bigger, massive type of a structure to bring the power down here. Do they need it? We met last week, and I'm not sure what day it was, Sunday, whatever, 5 o'clock, at some home, and the Sierra Club was there, one of the officials from the Sierra Club. I said, what the hell's going on here? Why all of a sudden do we need the power down there? Oh, where does power come from upstate? Where did it come from? I said, is it because upstate is shot to hell? Everything is gone. They're knocking, I'm from Schenectady originally. They're knocking buildings down like crazy. There's no industry. There's no homes. So where the hell's the power going to go? We can't sell it up there. Let's put it down in New York City. They'll buy it, and we're going to get stuck with it. That's bull. It is bull.
And that is what the Sierra Club told us.
That's what they said.
The companies upstate New York, a lot of them operate at 25% capacity. And to sustain themselves, they need to sell the power elsewhere.
So it's for somebody else to make money.
Exactly.
There are 3 companies with direct DC lines that are buried down the Hudson River. They're going to make a profit, and they're going to go from Canada down to the Manhattan, and they think they'll be profitable with buried lines. So there are companies doing buried lines. That's in addition to this line, not instead of this line, unfortunately.
That was my next question to you. Are you going to be willing, is the town going to be willing to sue these people when they come to our town?
Yes, and actually the Sierra Club will join in on that fight, and that was my understanding, that they would do a pro bono legal on behalf of all the towns.
Because there's an old method called scorch the earth. You don't join as a big group. A big group loses. You need small individual groups, and you fight them individually. Because for them to fight 56 towns, or however many towns they're going to fight, and if everybody joins together, even though we're helping each other behind the doors, we're still a town, but we would support Milan as a town. But we're not fighting as Milan, we're going to fight as Clinton.
I totally agree.
And then you have 40 towns suing them, and they'll never get the power lines in. It'll take 200 years.
Nobody wants to admit there's a problem. However, in Europe, they take it as a real threat. They bury all their power lines. It's really the electromagnetic exposure, and children are the most vulnerable. And actually, somebody had said 15 years down the road, but children get sick as quick as 3 to 5 years, often with childhood leukemia and brain tumors. In the United States, the International Agency for Research on Cancer has electromagnetic fields listed as possible human carcinogens. Having said that, in Europe, they believe it is a carcinogen. And they say that 1% of the children that come down with cancer are from power lines, but in other studies in Europe, they note that it's 50 to 76% increase for children living near power lines. It's very serious. As far as adults, and also for children, there's been a huge spike in autism, ADHD, SIDS, and all of those things are linked to the EMFs. For adults, the health risks differ. A lot of us don't even realize we're sick. We poo-poo it, it can be exhaustion, but they actually say depression, neurotoxicity, headaches, fatigue, MS, asthma, miscarriage, Lou Gehrig's disease, cancer, and Alzheimer's disease. According to studies, they can all be linked to that source.
So the simplest solution is to bury it, and that is the cheapest solution. The technology has evolved over time. These people might be right. 20 years ago, they may be right that it was not economical. Now it's required by law in the Netherlands. Now it's used in Chino Hills. Right now they're tearing down towers in Chino Hills and replacing them with buried lines. In California, In Norwalk, Connecticut, 5 years ago, they went underground. They didn't have any problems. It's an unknown technology. So that's the easy.